people of the world. How's everyone doing? Well, we got bombed yesterday and this morning. They got to the Soroka Hospital in Beersheba. Um, so that was very sad news. But proof of God protecting us is the fact that nobody got, we had no casualties, only injuries. So our lives are being disrupted, and it's very tough times here in Israel. But if you appreciate the fact that even though the Ayatollah is bombing our assets, but we're still coming live to you with some chart analysis and live trades for you to for us to learn together, then share with your friends, send some love, and I'll explain to you why the mistakes I did yesterday and why the lessons to learn. So basically, yesterday I was in a very good trade at the beginning of the day, and I was trending. I was leading this trend, which gave me a very positive trend. But this influenced me to the upside. And the problem here was that this price action over here below the orb was actually affecting my bias to the downside. You see, it was like breaking and it closed below this New York session open. So that is what kind of tainted my bias to go short, and that's when I got wrecked in the trade, and that's a mistake I made yesterday. So that's a good lesson to learn. The lesson is like, don't go and flip flop your trades, because if you remember, my initial analysis when we started back here was bearish. So if I just stick to that, this truly was really just like a fake out to the upside, but it didn't manage to break this actually session highs. So that is what the actual play was actually to be short until the news of the FOMC. And that is why today we are leaning, I think, a bit bullish, because we, even though with the FOMC, we haven't yet broken this support at 103. And although the longer term, let's look at the longer term on Bitcoin. You see, we are supposedly, if we break here, right, if we cannot get above 105 convincingly, 106, then we would be looking at, let's erase our levels for now. So essentially, what we've been doing here is just oscillating between this last line of defense for the bulls in here, right? Do you see these three lines of the Fibonacci from bottom to top? This, I'm going to cut it here so we can go back to the short-term analysis. I'm going to put them here, okay? This is where more or less the Fibonacci levels lie. We had one touch here at 100 to 600. We'll paint it white. We've been faked out of this towards an 109, but couldn't manage to break it. So you could, there's a point to argue here that here's a swing failure pattern. And then we've been oscillating around this kind of point of control around 105, 104, 700. These are the three levels that coincide with the Fibonacci retracement of this move to the zero point 0.5. So basically, all we've done since May is chop around, right? So we haven't done a significant move, although it would be if we break down from 100 to 700, I would expect this to be correcting at least to the 100k level, and at most to the around the 97 to 98,000 level for kind of a June July slump in crypto, and kind of maybe some dread news about the war. But if we keep just hanging around here, guys, and faking out to the downside, the other outcome is just to break above all time high and then reach towards 120, 130k. So that's what I'm looking at on the long term. Now let's go to the short term, because we are approaching the end of the 15-minute orb. Remember, we're trying this technique. It's not one to one again, but we have our orb for the first 15 minutes. It's here. We're pointing it yellow. So the first 30 minutes, right? Two candles. We mark the low and the high, and that allows us to have a short-term bias for the day, right? So you're gonna see if we break down from this orbit, essentially we would be going low, but I'm not buying that just yet. We want to take a look at the Nasdaq. So the Nasdaq did a similar thing, but it was much more consistent. You see, since yesterday at 5, it was just down only, and this is just a recuperation. So Nasdaq is looking worse than Bitcoin in terms of how they're holding up, because you see this is attempting to break this resistance. And if we do, I do think there's a big chance for us to that this would spill over to the altcoin market and crypto, right? I still believe that Bitcoin's more considered yet as a risk on asset versus safe haven, which it may very well be eventually. So what we can see also here is maybe there's a swing failure pattern to here and then head upwards. So I'm not yet dead set on a bearish setup yet, as I was yesterday. And the point of today is going to be to respect our analysis. So we're going to mark the orb here, right? And we are going to be patient this time around. Even if it breaks to the downside, for the confirmation, because um, because my current bias, unless we break down convincingly, is still bullish. And now let's check out the total three, which is everything excluding Ethereum, Bitcoin. So obviously this is trending down, right? We see lower highs, lower lows, but here there's a higher low trying to be made. So this is what kind of faked me out yesterday, right? We were doing a lower low, and I said, "Oh, that's it, we're done." And lo and behold, we bounced from right here. So this candle was a fake out candle, and that is what makes me believe that we might see a reversal. But until we break this one, so let's change our trend line now. We This is what faked me out to the downside. You see, guys? But again, it was a fake out, and we tend to, they are they are there for a reason, right? So until we are breaking the 800 and something billion level, 820, 830 billion level, I'm going to still remain cautiously bearish because this might break down every time. So that probably means that Bitcoin dominance is still bullish. Yeah, you can see this, right? We're still inside this pattern. We can only drag it longer. So Bitcoin dominance is very steady over here. This channel, it's getting even tighter, right? It's like doing a bull flag within a bull flag within a very large 2-year ascending wedge. This is what we have right now. So essentially, for Bitcoin dominance, I'm gonna delete some basic levels. This is what we have here. Unless we start breaking down from the 64 level convincingly, I don't see altcoins outperforming Bitcoin anytime soon. Although this can serve as a resistance, right? So let's put this around here. This can serve as resistance. If it does, if we don't break above the 65%, then there might be a chance that altcoins are outperformed even for the day. Okay, so that's the analysis. Now, having that said, let's look for setups, shall we? Okay, so we want to see, we got 7 minutes for this candle close, and we want to see that this holds up like this. If this holds up like this, we could consider this as the John Wick candle, meaning buyers stepping in at this range, which would strengthen the case for this to be bullish. Now we want to confirm this with the price action on the Nasdaq NQ futures. Yeah, it hasn't broken down the orb of that first initial session, so we are 6 minutes away from looking into bullish setups, right? Now, let's look at some typical other action, which would be, first of all, let's look at Ethereum. And if Ethereum's looking good, we can start looking at some Ethereum betas for